Hey, it's Sam, and I'm making this video about the new moon in Aries. Now, the new moons are what create the new cycles. We focus on new moons a lot when we have eclipses, for instance, like a solar eclipse is actually also a new moon. And in fact, the last new moon we had was the solar eclipse in Pisces, March 20th. Now, here it is about 30 days later, about a month later, and we have the new moon in Aries, which is really sort of like the end of that eclipse funkiness that we have just went through. The end in the sense of it's time to really move forward from the things that you should have learned during that Pisces eclipse, which it should have revealed a lot of sort of unconscious, subconscious patterns and triggers and maybe things like that because of Pisces, and really been a time for you to let go of certain limiting, confusing ideas that you have about yourself relative to whatever the sign of Pisces is, whichever house Pisces falls from your ascendant. Of course, those who are my members at my member site, they get a detailed explanation about what that exactly is. So when I talked about the eclipse just in general to the public, they didn't really get the full focus. Like, for instance, Geminis, it was your 10th house, so those were the things you needed to sort of let go and relax a little more. And Leo, it was your 8th house. So again, these are things that I explain in great detail in my member forecasts. And by the way, you can get, for only one penny, you can hear how this Aries forecast is going to affect you as well. But the end of that eclipse cycle is really starting now. So hopefully we have learned those lessons, and then we start over again with that new 30-day cycle when the sun and moon come together. So that's what's happening now. And it's that sun and moon Aries that are coming together on Saturday. That would be April 18th?
Please hang up and try again.
Yes, April 18th. So Aries is the time of renewal, rebirth, and starting over. And so in many sectors, this sun in Aries is like considered the new year. And in fact, when the sun goes into Aries, what's called the Mesha Sankranti, that's considered the new year in many parts of India. But actually, again, what really fires off the new cycle is when sun and moon come together. So it's really very much like the new year beginning, because it's the new cycle of Aries, which is when we're born. Aries is the sign of birth. It's the sign of where the zodiac begins, where life begins. It's the stereotype of beginnings. So it's new beginnings. And I don't know about you, but I definitely feel very reinvigorated, re-inspired after especially the last month and a half or two, where these planets were going through Pisces, and we had a lot of things. Mars actually went into Pisces first, and then the Sun, and then Venus, and they're all joined K2 and getting eclipsed. So now is really a time to see with clarity some recent mistakes and to be moving forward. Not only is Sun and Moon coming together in Aries, where the Sun is exalted, but Mars is also there, the ruler of Aries. So this is fantastic for having the courage and enthusiasm and excitement to put your inspirations into practice. That's what Mars is about. Mars is about enthusiasm and passion. The Sun is about our consistent power and vision for our life. And of course, it's Sun and Moon coming together in Aries, so that's like when the sperm meets the egg and we hit the ground running. In addition, Mercury is also in Aries at the beginning of this cycle. So, Mercury does have to do with speech and communication and what we say as well as what we hear. But with all of these fiery planets influencing Mercury, you have to be careful not to speak harshly or not to be impatient. This is one of the issues that could come up, because communicating is a two-way street. And so you have to be careful to not overlook important details now, which can certainly happen. So impetuous speech is a symbol of not having the patience to really contemplate things enough and then just kind of blurting things out. So you need to be careful with that as you move forward with your goals. But you should really understand that now is a time to move forward with a lot of things that you've been sort of confused or sort of pondering or sort of kicking around but not certain about. Hopefully that Pisces cycle you left something behind that was not serving you. Hopefully it was actually something that wasn't serving you rather than some sort of confusing, triggered thing that you were just kind of reacting to unconsciously. Again, this is the problem with destroying things during eclipse cycles. If we're unconscious, then we're destroying things just based on some unconscious triggering, unconscious fear, and then once that energy passes, we want it again. We're like, I didn't really want to destroy that. I just needed to be more patient. I just needed to be more calm. I just needed to surrender more. So, depending on how you handled all that stuff, this Aries cycle is either, having you moving forward with things enthusiastically, or you might be kind of stuck a little bit and realizing that you can't move forward as clearly as you like because there's still a lot of this sort of confusion rattling around. So, however that plays out for you, this is the goal right now. And again, if your life is really aligned with your intention and with your purpose, now is a great time. You're feeling that renewed clarity and inspiration. If your life is kind of, and I should say, if your goals and your vision and what you want is sort of clunking around in this sort of confusing space, then you can feel a lot of frustration in Aries. This cycle, this new moon in Aries, can also bring a lot of confusion with it. And you can bring that confusion out in this aggressive speech, in this kind of sharp and hostile communication style. So these are always the choices that come with the different signs. We hit the ground running and we have the potential to really act with courage and inspiration and purpose with the sun in Aries and the new moon in Aries and Mars in Aries. But again, that is based on the bias that we actually know where we're going. There's a saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. And this is one of the problems with Aries. And in general, most of us are sort of at some juncture and, grappling with some version of a true, inspired, and clear vision of where we're going in our life. Because we're kind of confused around these things, Aries often has this willfulness and this random nature where we try this, then we try that. And this new moon is happening in the nakshatra of Ashwini, which is the first nakshatra in the zodiac. Ashwini is related to two horses, and these horses can be running in different directions. One of the main things I say about Ashwini is, yes, it gives a lot of force and velocity and kind of forward momentum. It can, if you yoke those horses together. When you see people in the ancient times when they used horses to draw their carriage forward or whatever, they would usually find some means of yoking the horses together where they were joined. So one horse couldn't run this way and one couldn't run that way, because then you're not going anywhere. So if your vision is clear and you know where you're going and your vision is aligned, then in particular this is a great time, because this new moon in Aries with exalted sun, with Mars, is giving the potential for forward momentum. But again, if you're not sure where you're going, then one horse could be going this way, one horse could be going that way, and your energy is getting dispersed. So you want to pay attention to that as well. There's also another auspicious holiday that comes shortly thereafter. On April 20th, we have what's called Akshaya Tritiya, which is the day each year where we have both the sun and the moon exalted at the same time. And it's called Akshaya Tritiya. Tritiya is the third lunar day, but even the day after, Chaturthi, the moon will still be in Taurus. So the first several days of the upcoming week, Monday and Tuesday in particular, we also have both the sun and the moon exalted at the same time. This exalted moon has also joined Venus in Taurus. So again, some great placements between Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week with exalted planets, new beginnings, and even just a real sort of integrity around masculine and feminine energy. We have two masculine planets in Aries, two feminine planets in Taurus on Monday and Tuesday. Very powerful stuff, and a great way for you to sort of unravel even some of your like relationship confusions and things like that as this new moon cycle, this new moon in Aries begins and touches off this Aries cycle for 2015. Now, as I mentioned, those who are members not only get this general forecast, but they also have me talk about what this means for their sign, because this is really the important way to use astrology in your daily life. And I've said this before, the way I mainly use astrology day to day is watching these cycles in a general sense and making sure that I'm aligned with them. Like last month when we had the eclipse, it was in my 10th house. And so it had to do with my public, persona, making sure that my duties and responsibilities were in alignment with my deeper, heart. And so it was a lot of introspection around those things. Now, for me, as Gemini, this is happening in my 11th house. So it's an 11th house cycle, which is about bringing that message forward more into the public and all those kinds of things. Each sign has a unique relationship with all of these cycles, whether you know it or not. This is what's happening. And when people get readings or when people ask me questions, these are the things that I generally tell them, because this is the most important stuff. And so if you want to know how this is going to affect you, only 1 penny. If you're not a member, you can get a 2-week forecast, 2 weeks worth of forecast for only 1 penny. So if you want to see how this is going to influence your sign, you can do that only 1 penny, and you'll also see how this Aries cycle will influence you. In addition, you'll also get 2 weeks of daily forecasts. Every day I do a forecast where I assess the Panchanga, which is the 5-fold division of the day based on the Vara, the Nakshatra. The Vara means the day, also the Nakshatra and the Titi, the lunar day, which full moons and new moons are lunar days, Titis, also the important aspects. Every day you would get this. Most of my members have been getting this for years, and you can try it for 2 weeks as well. So you not only get the Aries forecast for your sign, but you also get 2 weeks of daily forecasts, so you can see what the specific energy is of each day. So check that out also if you like. But either way, it's a great auspicious time that's coming, and I hope it serves you well.